Hi everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. So this lesson is on adjectives and it follows the previous lesson. If you haven't seen that lesson, it's lesson 135. You might want to go back and watch it because this lesson is intertwined pretty much with that lesson. So last lesson was about adjectives that have four forms. This lesson is about kind of an exception to that where it's generally a four-form adjective, but for a certain reason we end up with only three forms, and you'll see why in this lesson. Okay, so you know all this information here. What we're focusing on is making masculine singular forms plural, so you'll see in the example. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with an adjective that actually ends up with only three forms, and it's a very common one. It's the adjective French, which is français, français. So remember your rule. If you have a masculine singular adjective and you want to make it feminine singular, you add an E. So for français, I would add the E, so I would get française, français, française, français, française. Notice again how the pronunciation changes. Français, française. And of course, remember in general that adjectives have to agree in gender and also in number. Okay, so here's the part that's a little tricky. If you understand how four-form adjectives work, well, you can understand the three forms. There's just this little trick that happens. Okay, so normally if I want to make this plural, I add an S, but it already has an S. So if I were to add another S, I would end up with two S's. And French does not like that, so it does not do that. So the rule is, if it ends in an S, just leave it as it is to make the plural. So the plural is, as you see here, it's the same. It's français, français. Now, to make the feminine plural, you still follow the rule where you add an S, but you have to add the S to the feminine singular form. So I would have française, française. So notice if you're counting up different forms, you only have three. The masculine singular and the plural are the same, that's one. Française singular is two, and française plural is three. So this is what I would call a three-form adjective. And remember, these occur when the masculine singular ends in an S. You don't add anything to make it plural, just leave it as it is. And there you have it. So we have français, française, français, française. So let's look at this in some real life sentences. Okay, so we want to start off with saying he is French. He is French. Remember, il est français. Il est français. Il est français. And notice that the French is not capitalized. The grammar rules say don't capitalize nationalities. In English, we do capitalize, but not in French in this particular case. So she is French. Remember, elle est française. Elle est française. Elle est française. She is French. Again, notice the difference in pronunciation. Français, française, français, française. Il est français. Elle est française. They are French. This would be the plural ILS, ils. So remember, leave it as it is from the masculine singular to the masculine plural. And so we would have ils sont français, ils sont français. And finally, they are French. The elles sont françaises, elles sont françaises. So we have il est français, elle est française, ils sont français, elles sont françaises. And there you have it. Only three forms. Notice these two are the same. That's one. Française, feminine singular, that's two. And then française, feminine plural, that's three. Three forms. Let's look at another common adjective that is like this. This is the adjective English. So we have anglais. And remember, this is English as an adjective, not a language. So the masculine singular, anglais, feminine singular would be remember the rule, add your E to make it feminine. Anglaise. Anglais, anglaise, anglais, anglaise. Plural, it ends in an S, so the special rule says if the masculine singular ends in an S, leave it as it is to make the masculine plural, and you have anglais. Anglais. And then for the feminine plural, remember the plural form is based off of the feminine singular, so you just add an S. Anglaise, anglaise. So we have anglais, anglaise, anglais, anglaise. Here are some examples. He is English. He is English. Again, remember it's capitalized in English, but not in French. Il est anglais. Il est anglais. Again, notice the liaison. Il est anglais. Il est anglais. She is English. Add your E. Elle est anglaise. Elle est anglaise. Anglais. Anglaise. Anglais. Anglaise. Anglais. Anglaise. Remember, the more you repeat, the better. Keep in mind, language is a skill, and the only way to improve skill is through practice. So, practice, practice, practice. Athletes know this. The only way to get the skill in your sport is to practice. Musicians know this. The only way to get the skill playing your instrument is to practice. It's the same thing with language. The only way to get the skill is to practice. So, repeat as much as possible. Okay, they are English. So, masculine singular to masculine plural, it ends in an S, leave it as it is. But I do have to change, make il plural, add an S also as well. So, ils sont anglais. Ils sont anglais. They are English. And then finally, they are English with the L. Elles sont anglaises. Elles sont anglaises. Il est anglais. Elle est anglaise. Ils sont anglais. Elles sont anglaises. Okay, so I'm going to end this with some other common nationalities that end in an S in the masculine singular. So all of these adjectives of nationality in French will only have the three forms because the masculine singular and the masculine plural will be the same. So we have japonais for Japanese, japonais. We have chinois for Chinese, chinois. We have portugais for Portuguese, portugais. And then for Dutch, we have néerlandais. So let's just finish up here with the forms. I just wanted to show you the forms quickly before we end. So again, notice these two are the same. Japonais, japonaise, japonaise. Chinois, chinoise, chinoise. Three different forms. Portugais, portugaise. Three forms. And then finally, néerlandais, néerlandaise. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it so much if you'd give it a like. To continue learning French and go on to the next lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.